Hello,
Hi there.
how are you?
Great. How you doing?
I'm good. I just came off of a speech, got on my speaking togs here. Still got my speech notes in my jacket. I had a group of 200 people and I presented how to be a magnet, basically. And on top of that, I made an offer, pretty big offer, of the uh, professional presentations videos and the professional selling videos and two Zoom sessions. And I got 10 people to sign up on the spot. So that was nice. The
Yes.
rest of them want to buy my books, and I've got the books stacked up down there. And so they're selling those, and I'll be back down there after our meeting. Last
Are you
night,
at a convention?
say it again.
Are you at a convention?
Yeah, in Nashville
Okay.
called EdgeCon. And it,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Dave Kaufman. Lisa Marie is here. She's doing the work for him. And he's got like, seven other speakers. And the interesting thing is, three or four of the speakers bought my package.
And
That's
this is the professional speaking package? Which one?
professional speaking package and the sales package together with two coaching sessions. And so that's cool. And last night, I went to the 9 p.m. show at the Bluebird Cafe, the famous Nashville Bluebird Cafe. And they had three songwriters theatering around. So they're right in the middle of the room, one at a keyboard, two on guitar. And they had all had songs by George Strait and Garth Brooks and Brad Paisley and people like that. So, wow, wow. And I mean, I was this close. I was like, uh, 2 feet away from the performers. Not too bad. And I had on my rock and roll shirt, what I call as a rock and roll shirt. I'll show it to you. It's right here. You may have seen it before, but it's this one with
I
guitars.
don't think I've seen that one.
Okay, guitars on it and a big old Cadillac on the back. Well, I walked into the place, and one of the performers who had on a Western shirt, he said, "Hey, nice shirt. We should form a band." I said, "Yeah, we'll call it the Nitty Gritty Shirt Band." And he laughed and he said, "Are you a musician?" Now, he said this on mic during the show, on mic. He says, "You and I need to start a band." And I bantered with him. And he said, "Are you a musician?" I said, "I am." He said, "What do you play?" I said, "Guitar." He said, "See me after the show." So I did. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, my magic shirt worked again. What have you been up to? Tell me about you.
Well, I've been watching a lot of the resources, and I always watch the replay of the videos that you post.
Uh-huh.
And I watched the one that we did that was a one-on-one. I rewatched that one today, and I made a list of some questions. Is it just the two of us today?
Yeah, so far.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
awesome. Thank you. So do you want me to just ask questions?
Sure.
Okay. The first one is I started building a website because I seem to need a place to put my resources and to refer people, and also for them to be able to do a credit card transaction with me. I don't want it to say microfiber products online. That will
Right.
confuse things. They'll probably just dispute it. So I'm wondering, is there a platform that you would recommend that is more for service than for products?
What I use is my main website's a WordPress site, and it has a layer on top of it that I would not choose if I were to do it again, and I will make that change sometime soon. But on top of my site is Elementor, and it's just a little too much of a learning curve. It may be capable, but it's just It's not user friendly. It may,
So Elementor is an app on WordPress?
yeah.
Okay.
And I guess it's an app. It's something on top. The other one I use is for my music website, and it's Wix.
Wix, I like that one.
Real simple, real user friendly, limited in its capabilities, but it works. What you might do is ask Daniel Pope, who's part of our team. Ask him directly. Just say, hey, Daniel, what should I go with? Because he may even build it for you. That's what he does, among other things. He's online marketing. So he can tell you very quickly and have a much better answer than moi.
Okay.
But you're right. You need a site, even if at first, if like for the next couple of weeks, it's just a LinkedIn page or a Facebook page, something like that where people can go, like Hudson's nightclub on Mercer Street in Dripping Springs, where Paula and I occasionally perform. Their website's nothing, but their Facebook page is awesome. So, if we ever want to know what's going on, we just go to their Facebook page, and they even live stream a lot of their shows on that. So quick and easy, free solution, which is nice. And you can,
No, that is Wix, you're saying, is quick and easy and free?
Yeah, Wix is not free. Wix is not.
But Facebook is free, basically.
But it's not as sophisticated from what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have somebody else helping you with social media, or do you just do it yourself?
I do it myself. Brian Orton, who's part of our group, he handles postings for me on Instagram, but that's all. Okay. And there's an outfit out of, I think Romania. It's called Social Bee, like the apiary, socialbee.com. And a guy named Ovi Negrin is the owner of it. And they do automatic postings, and they've upgraded their site over the past 5 or 6 years quite impressively. So you can go in there, choose all the media you want to appear in, choose the frequency, choose the day of posting, time of day, everything else, load up all your assets, and just put them in the pipeline so that it goes and just populates, and it's pretty user friendly. It's not hard to figure out, and it's inexpensive.
Okay. Are we recording today?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Just in case I missed something, I want to be able to go back and look at it.
Yeah, I'll save it for you.
Okay. Do you do paid advertising to get clients?
I don't. Well, I take that back. I do one paid ad. I'm not against it. I just haven't done it because I don't know how to do it intelligently yet. But I do know that Daniel and Jacob can tell you what's intelligent about that. The only advertising I'm doing that I pay for is in Top Sales magazine out of London. And that's a very inexpensive ad. So that's why I do it more or less as an act of friendship than an act of commerce.
You talked about a lot of different entry points. If I was going to prioritize all those different entry points, in creation of my own, how should I prioritize? I want to look for, of course, immediate revenue, of course, is, always on my mind. Yeah. Because I am now starting to invest because I'm paying for, I started a Shopify store just because I'm familiar with that platform. I started building it. And, so I do have some expenses that I'm starting to incur now. So it would be a good idea for me to start trying to bring in revenue. So of all those different options, where should I focus? Well,
the simple answer, without thinking it through too much at first, is the closest place to the customer. So in other words, look at the people you want calling you and booking some time, and whatever's the closest to them is going to be your best first platform. And then you can prioritize what has the best odds of payoff beyond that. because when you look at that market of people that you want, and then you're thinking, okay, how do I surround them? Some of these cost money and some of them are just free. So how do I surround them with my presence? Well, I can do articles and comments on social media and all kinds of things like that, and that's free. I can go to conferences and that costs. I can buy space in their publications and that costs. So I would, just look at where they are active, because you've got a semi-known target market. If you were working with pharmacists, that would be a known market. Yours is semi-known. You know who is likely to call you and who you would like to hear from more that maybe you're not even hearing from now. So identify who those people are, and then we can talk more specifically about what's the best route.
When people scoff at the fees, how do you handle that? What do you say when they go, oh, that's expensive, or oh my gosh, like that kind of reaction?
So let's role play a scenario and you tell me who you are. You're the scoffer and I'm the scoffee. I'm the recipient. I'm you. Okay. So describe who the person might be, an avatar of who that person might be.
Okay. So I have somebody that I have been talking to who has some products that they sell. It's a chef who has these products that he makes and sells. And, I noticed something on his website that was incorrect. And it was so glaringly needed to be fixed. So I sent him a little message, which I've done this before. And that usually is what gets the conversation started. I see something that is just really bad. Yeah. And I say, I don't know if you know this, because sometimes people don't review their website or they don't have the eye to notice things like that. And so that's how I do it. So, when I tell them about it, they say, wow, you're really helpful. And I might say to them, well, I have some other suggestions for you. I would love to, help you with your business, help you grow your business. Let me tell you about my fees. And my fees are.
There's where I would stop. I would say, let me tell you how I work, or let me tell you what we do. And you describe the outcomes that they're going to get so that there's a thing to put a value on. Ooh, I want those outcomes. So now it's a matter of what does that cost to get those outcomes? Whereas the other is talk with Jodi and pay money.
Right.
So it's not attached to a payoff.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I can help you improve your website so you get more business. That kind of thing. Yeah.
You say, well, one of the things that I do is I work with entrepreneurs and business owners to help them find profit sources or cost items that they're not necessarily exploiting, or cost items they're not aware of, profit sources they hadn't explored yet. So what you're saying is you're going to guide him to money, either saved money or made money, one or the other. And in doing so, you're going to, they wanted to make sure that was muted. In doing so, there's a value to that, and you hadn't brought that up yet, but you say, I've worked with entrepreneurs and business owners to help them identify money that they don't have to be spending or money they might be wasting, and profits that they could be earning easily.
Right.
And then let's talk. What do you work with me? Well, let me explain how I work. First thing I do is for a client that I think I can significantly help. Note the emphasis. The first thing I do is a pretty thorough analysis of not only what I've noticed, but where there might be some other culprits or opportunities. And then, just for a basic, if you can call it strategic analysis fee or strategic audit, audit's probably better. A basic strategic audit or profitability audit or some kind of a phrase like that, that sounds like something worth paying for. Then my fee is, say, $3,000. Person says, whoa, that's a lot of money. You say, well, actually, no, it's not. I mean, if it's just stacked up on a table, that's a lot of money. But if that's compared to what they save, if a person's saving 5,000 and paying me 3, that's not a lot of money at all. If they're making 10,000 and paying me 3, 30%, that people pay that in the finder's fee. So no, it's not expensive at all. Well, what could you do for me that, I mean, I'm not ready to spend that kind of money. That's okay. I understand. I have clients that, that aren't ready for me at a given time. So just stay in touch, and one of these days we'll work together. And they said, well, no, don't go away. Is that fee negotiable? Sure. What do you have to offer? Now, notice what I said. Sure. What do you have to offer? What do you have in mind? And if they say 2,000, you say, well, that's 2,000 plus what for the other 1,000? Well, nothing. Oh, you didn't want me to negotiate my fee. You just wanted me unilaterally reduce it. Well, yeah, that's what I meant. Oh, no, we don't do that.
Yeah, that sounds like something that would be off-putting.
And and people say that all the time. Hey, Jim, if 18,000 for a keynote, gee, man, is that negotiable? Yeah. What do you have to offer? 5,000 plus what for the other 8? Or the other 13, and if they've got no answer, they say, well, sounds like what you're looking for is a $5,000 solution. And what I'm bringing is an $18,000 solution. So, if you're okay with what you can get for 5, that's cool. I understand.
Okay.
And another thing you can do is you can say, well, people know what they're worth, and they typically charge what they're worth. And I could raise my fees and justify it easily, but I'd rather keep it just low enough that people like yourself could get the benefit of my services. And, then as they got bigger, there might be bigger opportunities for me too.
Now, what if it's a convention that would like me to speak, which I've done before, and they pay for expenses, but I've actually not gotten paid for the actual presentation or to be on the panel? Maybe just because I didn't know that I could ask or I should ask, but there's a lot of people who speak, and I think that they're doing it for free because they're getting exposure, which I understand that, and that makes sense. But for me, there's a lot of research involved. There's a lot of stuff that I have to do ahead of time. And, it's my time is money, and I have to really.
Absolutely. And you should be compensated for that. And that's what I would tell them. I would just say, my typical fee is X, and plus expenses. So, how would you like to confirm this? Shall I send you a scheduling agreement, a letter, or do you have a form of your own? And we can do it that way. Well, no, wait, what, 2,500? We're not paying any of our speakers. Oh, okay. Well, we were thinking, this is good exposure for you. So, well, exposure is kind of like buying a billboard on the side of the highway. It's nice, but unless it's there all the time, nobody's going to call it because they won't remember it or notice it enough to actually take action. So I'm not, I can't justify doing things for just exposure. But if there's a marketing opportunity where I can come to your meeting, not charge you a fee, and have a dedicated window of, say, I don't know, 5 minutes or whatever, to after my other involvement, to present my services to the audience so that they can buy on site while I'm there, then a lot of times that will more than cover my fee, and everybody goes away happy. Well, we don't want any high pressure. Well, if it were high pressure, you wouldn't be hiring me. High pressure is people selling something that's not worth it and trying to guilt you into buying it. I simply describe what I have and what we charge for it, and those that want it come to see me.
Okay. I'm feeling like I need to work on the LinkedIn profile, because one of my concerns about the website is the same problem I have with all the other websites. They need maintenance on a regular basis so they look current.
Yeah.
So the nice thing about being on marketplaces, on Amazon, I don't have to worry about anything. They tell me what the assets need to be,
Yeah.
and they take care of the look. And same thing with eBay and Walmart.com. You can have somewhat of a small piece of template, and I'm looking to not make myself a job constantly having to update. So I feel like LinkedIn is a good place for that. But I get a lot of I took myself off because I was getting a lot of solicitations, women's group, calling me and interviewing me and then wanting to charge me, to be in their directory or whatever. And I always start off, when they call, because, I don't want to, be rude, I don't want to give anybody a bad impression of me. So I'm very respectful, and tell me what the purpose of your call is so I know how to answer the questions that you're asking. Oh, well, we're going to be putting you in a directory. Well, is there a fee for me to be in the directory? Oh, no, there's no fee. And then by the end of the call, they say, okay, we're going to put you in the directory. And then I get contacted and they say, okay, so here's what you need to do. And they want to charge me. So it's like they say no, but it's a lie. And I don't want to waste my time. I spent some time with somebody that I thought was a women's entrepreneurial group. And I thought, this is a good fit for me. And then I realized that they want me to be, pay to be a part of it, but they said no on the first call. No, we just want to interview you, and so yeah, they were qualifying me as what they were doing.
Yeah,
and so
I got the same thing 3 days ago. A guy called me, or a woman called me, and said, "Hey, we've got a podcast or whatever, and it's wonderful, and we want to do a short interview featuring you." Because you've got such heavy credentials. And I said, well, is there any charge in relation to that? No, we just want to feature you. And of course, the giveaway was they did absolutely no research on me. I came up on one of their searches as somebody that's, I don't know, a published author or a member of NSA or whatever. And so they're going down the list and booking calls. Well, I took the call. And I did the interview, which was 5 minutes long. And it was a good interview. And a guy called me after and he said, hey, wow, outstanding interview. Wow. I wanted to call and follow through and, talk about what we can do with that. And what he wants is for me to buy their package and to take the recording of that interview and have them push it out and charge me a fee and those kind of things. And probably charge me for editing, who knows? And I just said, yeah, thanks. And so I've been deleting his follow-up calls, not even replying. Yeah, they're out there.
Yeah, for sure. As far as putting some digital assets online that are, things that maybe people should pay for, but maybe I want to give people a taste. How much would you give away? Like a 5-minute, because if someone's going to hire me, they're going to want to see me, right? You have a lot of assets already online. I don't know that my assets are something that I could really use at this moment. I would have to really.
Well, that's something we can do. It's, I can interview you. You can structure the interview you would like to have and structure it for the length of time, shorter the better. Like under 10 minutes is good, under 5 minutes is wonderful. But structure a short interview and we'll set it up so that you can capture high quality video with the right kind of settings and so forth. And I will, on camera, ask you the questions that lead you directly to the answers you want to give. And that way you can post that just like a preview video for a speaker. Yeah.
That's great.
And no, there's no fee for that.
Really?
Nope. That's part of the deal. I just want to be there for you.
Thank you.
You're
That
welcome.
certainly is nice. I was thinking that I was going to use some of the recordings from Zoom when I meet with clients. I record, and I'm sure some people are going to ask the same questions as others. Now, because it's two different screens, I can just use the screen that has me on it and not the client on it. And then I can have somebody ask me the question. And then this pre-recorded video is what I would use as the answer. I think that live on camera, I don't know how well I do live on camera. I sometimes look like a
By
deer
the
in
way,
headlights.
if you're not coming to Austin for the event, are you?
No, I
No.
can't.
Well,
Next time I want to.
we will be in a studio.
Mhm.
So we will be in a place where that could be done while you were here, but don't worry about that.
I
Also,
almost feel like I'm better when I'm natural, when somebody asks me a
yeah,
question and
that's what
it's
I
just the
meant.
two of us.
The two
Somehow
of
when
us
there's
sitting and talking.
cameras and the boom and the microphones and the director, like I had a director shouting at me when Amazon did our video, and it got me so flustered, and it was really hard for me to recover from it. And sometimes his questions were 5 minutes long. And then by the time he got to the end of the question, I was like, what the heck was the question?
Wouldn't happen with me, nor would it happen with Jeff, who owns T-Works, that has the studio. It's a great, comfortable podcast studio where we can just sit and talk. And it looks like the Joe Rogan studio because the same guy that did Joe Rogan's did this one. So it's a nice looking studio with the red draping on the sides and a wood panel wall on the end with a TV screen on it. So you can have remote guests, and then a couple of microphones set up so that the people facing each other who are also on camera can just have a natural conversation. Let me think for a second. Daniel and Jacob, Be Known Agency, the boys, I call them, they have a special offer that they did for the National Speakers Association, and it's available to you as well. They have a $2,500 digital or online marketing audit that they do for speakers and subject experts. And they said they will do it for NSA for $250 because they know that's the kind of client they want. And I said, well, you do the same thing for our people? And they said, yeah. So just talk with them and consider you already have the introduction. You've already seen them, known them online. Hi, this is Jodi. You know, Jim said, call you directly. This is what I'm looking to do. Am I going in the right direction, or should I be thinking about something different? And then they'll say, well, here, let's do this. Good guys. Yeah.
So as far as the assets that I already have, I noticed that some of your assets are from a while ago. I can tell because they look different.
Like 1970 something, or no, not 70, but yeah, 1980s and 90s. Yeah.
But those assets are still establishing credibility for you. So I have assets, and some of them are from like 10 years ago. I do look a little different. And it might say like Yahoo Merchant Services or something in the background, and Yahoo is barely alive, you know?
That's okay, because that, again, that's street cred. You know,
Yes.
been there, done that. I was there when they opened the tomb, and there wasn't any Jesus left in there. So, you know, I'm one of the observers that said, yep, there's nobody in there.
Okay.
Well, it's like today, I'm speaking to a group where the guru, the master, the Tony Robbins type guy of this outfit, Dave Kaufman, is a full-time trainer who uses the DISC personality model to teach whatever he teaches. And so he's known for DISC. Well, I produced the first ever audio album on the 4 personality types.
Oh, really?
Before DISC.
I call it DISC. I say DISC assessment. You say DISC, so I must be wrong because you would
Okay,
know
well,
better than I
it
do.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. DISC. Anyway, I produced an audio album in 1984 with Earl Nightingale producing it, and it was me and Tony Alessandra. Sold $3.5 million worth in the first 2 years, worldwide. Big hit, big hit. The people from Performax out of Minnesota were the ones who controlled DISC at the time, and they were owned by. Well, it came from the work of William Marston, of course, and then John Geyer and Leo Hauser and Bob Conklin. Anyway, a bunch of people were involved. And so Performax, that outfit, came to me and Tony and said, would you guys, your album is so good, would you do a re-record and use our language, DISC? And I said, sure. So we went back in the studio and just replaced relationship strategies language with DISC. And they published it and sold it all over creation. And so now there are people all over, never heard of me, but they're teaching DISC.
It makes me curious about using someone else's materials and being the presenter for those other materials, because it's already produced, it's already out there, and I do find that stuff valuable, and it's expensive, so it's got to be profitable. So, I toy with
That's
the
where I
idea of
started.
that.
I was selling Earl Nightingale's recordings, and I stopped too soon. I was selling his recordings in the early 70s in Little Rock, and it was a big library of 36 or 48 audio cassettes with little booklets, and it was $560, which today would be about $3,500. And so I was going business to business selling those. And every time I sold them, the people were pleased with the product. So it was a good deal. And I would do a orientation to teach them how to use it well. Then I went to work for the USJC's national headquarters. And after I left them, instead of going back to selling Nightingale's materials, I recorded an album of my own, which was lame. And I was selling that. And one day I went to Des Moines, Iowa, and a guy named Mike Mars came up to me and he said, Jim, since you were here last year and you sold us that album, which was called Start, Success Through Applied Regulated Thought. It was 4 cassettes of me doing a seminar in a church basement for a group of people that paid me $30 each. And it was really lame. So anyway, he said, since you were here in our insurance agency last year in Des Moines, I have listened to that 40 times.
Wow.
It changed my life. And
really?
I said, oh my God, he's taking it more seriously than I took it. What was I teaching? And I went back and listened to it and promptly discarded all my remaining inventory because I was ashamed of it being so primitive and elementary. And so I talked with him and I sent him some free things and thanked him for his loyalty and all that. Anyway, I went back to selling Nightingale's things for a while as a distributor because I knew his was solid and mine was not yet. And then years later, I developed my own, obviously, and everything went well. Well, in the year 2010, I got a call from Mike Mars. He said, Jim, my son, Chris Mars, is a production manager for a big event production company, and we handle the USA Special Olympics. We do their huge event, opening ceremonies and everything. We produce the video for it and all that. And we want you as our keynote speaker at the opening of the USA Special Olympics. And we did it. So, he's still loyal after all these years, despite my initial product being pretty pedestrian, to say the least. Wow. So I would say
that is one of my concerns, is putting something out there digitally that later on I look back and I go, oh my gosh, I'm not good on camera, at that time.
Yeah.
Because I do sometimes look at the videos and, my eyes, I have a twitch in this eye. It's been going all day. And so sometimes I really have to.
Sometimes happens to me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
By the way, my materials, if any of my materials fit your mix, we can make you an affiliate and you just, you can resell anything that works with your package.
What kind of profit would there be for me in that?
Depends on what the item is, but
You've done this before with other people?
Yeah, like some of it 40% of retail, some of it even greater than that, depending on what the item is and what it costs me, or what the item is in my mix and how it competitively compares, that kind of thing. So just, anything you're interested in, just say, hey, let's talk, and because I haven't set up a bunch of affiliates and made that a arm of my business that I'm serious about. I've just got a few people I've made handshake agreements with. So I'm happy to craft something that makes sense.
I would need to look into that to see what website would be good for the affiliate program. I'm sure with Shopify, they have an app for it that you can add, because anyone, it's like an open platform. Anyone can submit an app that has some capability. And then as an individual, you can say, you know what, I want to add that app. It's $9.99 a month or whatever to add the app. So I just added this appointment setting app to my Shopify store.
Yeah.
And
by the way, the boys, the Be Known agency, they use High Level. And Ken Walls, the guy that did my digital business card, and he's got a big ongoing seminar and consulting business and things like that. He does mastermind retreats that are tens of thousands of dollars. He produced this. This is my digital business card, and it's in High Level. And he's kind of a specialist on that. So, that's kind of like WordPress. That's a platform that's well worth exploring.
I'll take a look at that one also.
Yeah. Cool. Keep them coming.
Let's see.
By the way, here's what I brought to the meeting today.
The QR code.
Yeah. I just showed them that, and it was on the screen, and the people signed up right there from their seats. And I held a drawing. That was so cool. I did my speech, and the client who hired me went to Guitar Center day before yesterday and bought me a guitar. I'd gone online and identified 3 or 4 that he could buy for a couple $100. And I wanted acoustic electric guitar and a cord to plug it in, a shoulder strap to wear it on stage, and a tuner. And I brought a capo so I could change the tuning if I needed to. And so he did that, gave it to me. I brought it to my room, tuned it all up. Today, when I was introduced to speak, I grabbed the guitar and did a song that engaged the audience. And then I did a piece of another song, then I put it down. And then I launched into my speech and I made my points. And at the end of my speech, it was an hour and a half. No, 2.5 hours. And toward the end of my speech, I said, here's a package that I put together of services and products for all of you. And here's a special pricing that only applies between now and lunch. Because if I don't get a bunch of takers on it, it's not a good offer for me. If I only get a few, then I'm doing too much work for too little fee. I said, so here, let me sweeten the deal. I said, immediately after lunch, when we come back in here, I'm going to give that guitar to somebody. And it will be one of the people who took advantage of the package before lunch. So here's your QR code, and there's your reason for urgency. If you would like to have your name in the hat for the guitar, then do it. So I got my sales, and it didn't, because of that, didn't have to spend time talking with people about individual book sales and things like that. So I came back after lunch and I couldn't access the software to find out who had bought.
Oh, no.
And so I texted Ken Walls and he texted me a link, and I got back in there and I was searching around, but it was too late. I had to get on stage and raffle off a guitar. and we'll have a drawing. So I got on stage, 200 people, and I said, would all of the people who bought the package I was offering please stand? And they all stood up, and there were two sides of the room. And I said,
And
okay.
you had no idea how many people were going to stand or if anyone was going to stand.
Nope.
That's risky.
And I said, Dave, you're in charge of the meeting. Write down a number between 1 and 10. Okay. Jodi, you're sitting on the front row over here. Write down a number between 1 and 10. Okay. Lori, you're not a member of this group. You met us last night at the Bluebird and decided to drop in today. So you're the perfect outsider to make this decision. Which of these two numbers comes first, his number or his number? And she said, his number. And I said, okay, so what's your number? 3. What's your number? 3. Okay, 33. All right. I said, now we need to decide whether side A or side B of this room is the one that's going to have the winner finally selected from it. And I said, Lisa Marie, you're working a products table in the back. Choose an A or a B, and I'm not going to tell you which side is which.
Uh-huh.
So she chose A, and I had 2 people left. There were 8 over here and 2 over here. And I said, okay, between you two, I said, we're going to have a sing off. You're going to come up on, and they were, no.
Oh my gosh.
No. I said, no. I said, I want you to write down a number between 1 and 100, each of you. And I watched them write it down. And I said, okay, now before you reveal your numbers, Dave, did the high number or the low number win? He said, low number. And I said, okay, what's your number? The guy said, 50. And I said, all right, what's yours? And he said, 7. And I said, come get your guitar. So that was pulling it out of my butt, but still, you know,
you made it work, and
yeah,
they had no idea anything was wrong. And that's one of my pet peeves is when people apologize for things, nobody would know that your software wasn't working if you didn't tell them. So, you know, I think that your approach worked perfectly. Nobody had any suspicion that it wasn't working.
And it was fair because I had so many different points of, moving parts that there's no way it could have been rigged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I love it. So I gave you the first sheet that said, gosh, what was the first one that I sent you?
Future you.
Future you, yes.
Yeah.
Have you looked at that at all? Do you
I
have.
Any I don't have it
from me?
I don't think I have it on me, but yes, I have looked at it.
Will that be something that we work on? Because I'm going to be working on the next one that was after that, which is, I think, how I want people to perceive
Reputation
me.
creation.
Yes.
And then the next one after that is where you narrow the field of things that you either are or could be working on, because it's a loaded Excel spreadsheet where as you put the numbers in, it ranks them itself. And so you hit enter and it tallies it all up and says, you consider these to be your top ones. And then you look over that and decide if that's valid or not. But it helps you make that decision by causing you to be more granular and more rational in the rankings. Okay.
Right.
But most of the reason for the retreat is that gives us face-to-face time like this to work through those things and to iron that out. But that's fine because that's what we're doing right now anyway. So it would be helpful if I had it with me, and I apologize for not. Yeah, I need that as my source to know.
That's okay. I'm just, the last call that we were on, Lori was on too. And I think that we have very different things that we need.
Yeah.
And so, I really appreciated the questions that she asked and the answers you gave, because, that's helpful to me, of course.
Sure.
But what she's doing is very different. And so I'm just trying to figure out how to navigate that, when to speak.
By the way, are you comfortable with me posting this one, or would you rather this be private to us? Because I
I
can
think
send you
it's
the recording and or I can post it so that others can hear these answers.
right, but this is not on YouTube for like public.
No, no,
It's only
no.
for
It's
the
only
people
on
that are
our
in your
on our
program on your
website. It's
site.
on YouTube. It's unlisted, and so I
Mhm.
take the link to it and put it on the website.
Right, right. Yeah, I think that's fine. And
Okay.
I didn't mind, the previous one that we did was super, super helpful for me. I recorded it. And then I thought, oh, I wonder if he would want this because, at the time, I was still kind of trying to figure out how all of it works. And I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that I try to take really good notes. I really do. But sometimes I'm listening and then I forget to write down what I needed to write down. So it's always helpful to refer back to it. So I didn't think to ask you if you wanted access to that one, which would be, it's probably Zoom's cloud where it's stored.
I'm pretty sure I've captured them.
Okay.
But if I haven't, if it's not on that group page, then yeah, it'd be nice to put there. And you can upload it. Yeah, you
Oh,
can
really?
load assets onto that page. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. All right.
Do you feel the power?
What's that?
Do you feel the power? Arr.
I worry, one of my worries is I don't want to be a salesperson.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
good at it, but it's not what I want to do.
I
I would
think
love if I was,
none of us do, because the definition of what you just described is an aggressive or pushy person who's all about getting you to say yes. Selling is helping for pay. Selling is problem solving or benefit bringing for pay. So just reposition it in your mind. You don't have to ever sell anything. You just need to make sure people buy.
oh my goodness. So I just have to have resources available and leave them wanting more.
Yeah. And if you think of the difference between someone selling something and someone else simply assuring that people buy from them, the functional difference is zero. People are buying, right? It's the same process. The approach to it is quite different because one, all the energy is coming from them to persuade you to buy. The other one, they're simply trying to figure out who they could help and saying, I can help. Here's how that works.
Uh, I guess another question is, if I was going to give a keynote speech somewhere, which I want to put together a keynote speech because I think I have some really great stories, and not only my own stories, but stories from other people that I've learned and heard about that I think are really great. I don't know how to price myself for that. I don't know how to look for the places that would be interested in hiring me to do that. I have been an MC of different events. I haven't done the auction stuff. I've had a couple of people ask me if I would do silent auction. But sometimes that gets real awkward if people aren't bidding, when you're set, they take the silent auction live sometimes and it gets a little bit awkward. So I didn't want to do that. I don't really feel like I'm an auctioneer in that regard.
It's kind of like
people do it well.
You need to think like a bureau for a moment. The bureaus look at us and they say, okay, is this a substantial person or not? And if it's just someone who's kind of glib and fun on the platform, that person, $1,500, $2,000, they're happy as a clam, and the bureau's okay with booking them because they don't really have to have any meat. They're just showing up and telling stories and being motivational or whatever they're doing, and that's got a value, but it's a low level value, because you could also go within your own company if you're in a big corporation and find half a dozen people that could do that. And it would cost you about that much to take them off the job and have them do it. It wouldn't all go to them, but it would cost you that much anyway. But when bureaus look at people, they look at, okay, first off, is this the world's only authority on this subject? Then her fee is whatever the heck we feel like asking. If it's $100,000 or $1 million, right? If it's the past president of the United States, like Bill Clinton left office and got $1 million fee. What were they paying for? His performance? No.
God knows.
They were paying for the star effect. They were paying for the celebrity
Yeah.
value,
Yeah.
butts and seats. What they were really paying for is people to be able to get their picture taken with Bill Clinton, right? Seriously.
Okay. All
I
right.
was at a conference with Tip O'Neill when he was Speaker of the House. And so he had, been Speaker of the House with John F. Kennedy. So the guy's a big deal. And we were in Orlando, I think. And I was booked to solve a problem. I was there to conduct a seminar. I've forgotten the specifics, but it was a National Institute of Retail Merchant Associations or something like that, NIMRA, NIRMA, whatever it was. I was there to solve a problem. Tip O'Neill was there to pose for selfies. So he got up and he told stories. Well, he went overtime. And he ate up
And
the
then your
time
time
of the
was short.
problem solvers. And so we didn't have enough time to do our job. He had done his job in the first 15 minutes. All he had to do is tell like 4 stories and then get off the stage and shake hands. Well, that's the same thing, when bureaus are looking at celebrities, they'll bring in some like a movie star effect, and that's all people want. I was there. I saw Elon Musk in the flesh, and I stood on the other side of the Tesla while he was standing there, and we got ourselves in the picture. Wow. Okay. It doesn't matter if he spoke. It just matters that he showed up, although you could learn some great things from him. But then they look at, okay, what about authors and researchers and subject experts and entrepreneurs and billionaires and people that have built phenomenal businesses, and they look at someone like you that from the teen years but was an entrepreneur successfully and built upon that, to get to the position you're in today. And then you check another one of those boxes for them. You're a woman. Wow, we check another box. If only you were Black and non-Native American and transgender.
I'm Jewish. Does that help?
There you go. So, then they've got all these different things that they can market with. Well, when they're looking at me, what they want to know is he an entertainer or is he offering substantial content? And the answer is substantial content, and I can entertain, but that's not my drawing card. All right. Has he been there, done that? Yes. Has Jodi been there, done that? Yes. Okay. Does she have a book? Because that tends to establish a little bit more name recognition. And so that's a factor that goes into it. I would suggest that you price yourself based on what the current mix of fees is, somewhere above 5,000. You need to figure out what's a show up fee that if you get that, you're going to feel really good about being there, and have that as sort of your floor. And then for additional research, a little bit more, and for spending time doing executive briefing in addition to your on stage stuff, a little bit more, and then just have a mix of services that you can throw in there. Like I would do at this conference, a breakout session for their top sales leaders or top performers, most productive franchises, whatever, and only charge them a couple thousand more because I'm already on site and I've already done my research. So it's an easy extra for me. I
was going to ask you about that. If it was a workshop, if you have a way different charge, let's say you're not giving a keynote.
Yeah.
Somebody just wants you to come and do a workshop. And of course, it still involves research up front,
right?
Materials, there's still a lot of work involved that I don't think people realize, what goes into it. And that's really important.
Yeah.
Is if I'm going to be prepared, I need to ask a lot of questions, and
well,
I need to know.
And 2 ways to prepare for that. One is or to charge for that. One is to charge a fee for the package, and that you just do it. Another is to charge a base fee that they notice because you point out to them is a reduced fee from your regular fee. and you make up the difference on materials. So they buy a package of materials for each attendee. And in that case, you need a guarantee of X number. Because if it drops below that number, you don't get enough income from it. And then some people, I've seen them, they charge based on how many people come, even if there are no materials. I don't think I would do that. That's not comfortable to me. That's like a percentage of the gate. But you could. But I would say have a package of materials and have enough profit in the materials that it's still reasonably priced, but that you're making a nice margin on it.
Right. Okay. Also very helpful.
Yeah, but I would think because you're a serious, accomplished executive, that you're worth at least $5,000 for a show up fee. For whatever.
Plus expenses, travel expenses.
Pardon?
Plus travel expenses.
Yeah, yeah. And lately, well, since COVID, I've told people coach is fine. Prior to that, it was business class. But then again, prior to that, I was traveling a lot more often, and the airplane was my office. And so that's why I charged business class instead of coach.
Yeah,
and it says you've seen that 10 vital issues for agents and bureaus. That's part of the presentations mix. The speaking.
I don't know.
Okay, well, you're subscribed to the professional presentation speaker series.
Okay, I watched the first one today.
Yeah, well, this is not a video. This is a download. It's
okay, I did see that. In fact, I think I have it minimized here.
Yeah, it's called 10 Vital Issues.
Okay.
And in there, it talks about travel expenses because that's an issue that comes up between clients and agents and bureaus and speakers. And so I outline the whole thing. How do you think about it? How do you charge for it? And how do you justify if it's more than they're used to? So the problem is not whether it's first class or coach. The problem is how that feels to them. Because you could have a first class ticket that costs, let's say, $600 for a short trip. Or a coach ticket that's $2,500. And they would be okay with the coach ticket.
Right.
And not okay with the $600 first class ticket because somehow it feels like you're having a party at their expense. And so what I point out in the article is that first class international is a party at their expense. First class domestic is simply guaranteed overhead space and a dinner tray being removed while there's still time to get some work done. That's the difference, night and day. And a lot of time, well, I tell people every time I've got multiple cities, I prorate the expenses.
Oh, yeah.
So if it's going to cost me $3,600 round trip, and I've got 4 different clients, then they know they're only going to get 1/4 of that charge. So it doesn't matter.
Do they typically book your travel for you, or do you book your travel for you and then bill?
I do. Ever since the days when travel agents stopped happening, you know, when Priceline and others came online, Kayak, all those, then the travel agents were forced out of business. And so for the complex one, I would go with my travel agent before and just pay her a fee. And for the other ones that were fairly simple, I just got used to doing it myself. So, and all my international, when I was going to China, I did so many round trip first class international trips to China and Poland and around the world 3 times that I was I still am executive platinum on American. That's the highest level. And I did it all myself. But it was easy.
Yeah, because I do have a lot of American Express miles.
Yeah.
And so I do.
By the way, charge for those.
Yeah.
You know, don't spend your because your miles have dollar value.
Yeah,
not cash in dollar value, but travel dollar value. So look at what the economy or coach ticket would be. And if you
right,
use miles, bill them for the coach ticket and
right,
tell them so,
right.
so that, or at least don't hide it. Because I say, well, hey, I saw your boarding pass. You were seated next to me. I saw your boarding pass. You used miles. What's your point? Well, you charged us for coach airfare. Oh, you think I should give you my miles? Oh, well, yeah, when you put it that way, I guess not. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I don't mind charging coach, but I'm still gonna go business class.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go coach.
Right.
I just don't have enough room to get any work done. When I'm just, I'm
Amen
the
to
middle
that.
person because I'm small and oh, you need to go in the middle. You're small. Okay, well, how am I supposed to use my computer? Like I
Right.
can't, it doesn't work for me. I need to get work done. If I'm gonna be on a plane for hours, I get work done. I need space.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, let's do a couple more quick questions. Then I got to scoot and go back downstairs.
No problem. So last question is just next convention that you think that I should go to, aside from Austin, which I'd like to, but my dad's last treatment is March 21st. And
My
so
son's birthday.
What's that?
My son's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
First day of spring. So it's rebirth day for your dad. Spring's busting out all over. There you go.
Yeah. So after that, I am going to go take a trip to Florida. That's where he is, and visit with him.
Cool.
This is an awkward time for me, and just like out of nowhere, like, okay, we've got to like move some things around here and figure some things out. And I almost went in February, and then he said, I don't want you to come. I don't want you to see me this way. And I thought, you don't want me to see you after 29 radiation treatments.
Yeah.
So he may say no after that. He may say, just wait until I get my strength back. And
yeah. Yeah. Mm.
So which convention would you recommend that I go to in order to get, more exposure?
Exposure to what?
Well, I want to surround myself with people that are doing similar things. I know EdgeCon is one of the ones that
if it works for you timing wise, put the annual meeting of NSA on your list, because it's just such a gathering of amazingly successful people and a lot of people that are trying to figure it out too. So
do different chapters host that, or where is it?
It's in Orlando. How convenient. And
Yes.
And it's in July, I think.
Okay.
But just go to nsaspeaker.org, and at nsaspeaker.org it has events, and you can see when that's coming up. They don't call it the convention, they call it Influence. So they decided to give a pet name to their convention.
Okay.
Influence, Orlando, at the Rosen Hotel. Yeah. But that'll be quite an event, and I'll be there. And it's also NSA's 50th anniversary, 50th birthday. So it'll be a kind of a special one in all the list of things. Yeah, but that's.
And do you recommend that I continue to attend like NSA here? Because I haven't gone in many years.
Oh yeah, I would. Well, at least attend when it makes sense to you. It's like Austin. I don't go to all their meetings. And they have 4 or 5 different types of gatherings each month, and they bring in people that I know and admire, but I don't always go to those. But I do cherry pick, and when I go, it's always worthwhile. And it may be, a lot of people will go to a local level or regional NSA event, and they say, yeah, those are all wannabes. No, they're not. They're mostly wannabes in the audience, because that's financially accessible and it's local to them. Of course, there are going to be more of them, but there are also a few players in that room that are serious about this. And the presenters that come in are not wannabes. The presenters that come in from out of town are touring professionals like us, that are bringing some real meat.
Okay.
There you go. Well, this is
I
enjoyable. I like this. Thank you.
I like the one-on-one. I really think that it's easy for me to focus on the different things that I'm really looking for. And, when other people are on the call, sometimes it's good because they ask a question I wouldn't have thought of. And so I can see it
Well,
as
and
being very
right back
beneficial.
at you, you ask questions they wouldn't have thought of. So that's
That's
why
true,
this would
yeah.
be valuable to post for them. Yeah.
Does Lorene need help with something? I felt like she was really struggling with something and needing help.
Well, what she's got, her message is so heavy. It's for battered women and it's a shelter and things like that. She's trying to remember from our discussion the other day. I think she was getting ahead of herself in making some of the choices. That's why I recommended, wait a minute, talk to these folks before you do that. But she just wants to make sure that she gets her message packaged in such a way that she can go to these places she already knows and appear on their program and have the people go, wow, yeah, I want to help that any way I can.
I was an MC about 25 years ago for an event that was for children that were abused. And the person who was the lead person on that, I got to know her very well. And she said there were some things that she just isn't comfortable, because she's in the position she's in. And so she said, would you be able to say these things and do these things? And so I was the MC. And so I said the things that were hard for her to say. And then she got up there and, she did her thing. And she told stories a lot, about how difficult her life was. And it was very interesting. And it was a formal event. Everybody was in gowns. And it's difficult when everyone's wearing a gown to hear about abused children. It's very sad. It's very difficult. It doesn't seem like it's appropriate for the event. But when you're fundraising for an event, they need to know why am I paying?
Right.
We're saving these children.
Well, and stories reach the heart, whereas data reaches the head. And if you want them to open their wallets, they open it with their heart.
Yeah.
The head only
I have another
opens
client that I work with that has MS.
Yeah.
And she has been talking to the MS community. All her social media posts are to the MS community. And she just had this epiphany that she doesn't want to spend her whole life telling people about MS, that she has, credibility in other ways, and that she doesn't always want to say MS warrior in every single one of her posts. And so, I'm working with her to help her figure out, what kind of direction should she head in, because I understand you're really limiting your audience when you're only talking to people who have MS. You can really widen your audience and talk about health and fitness and wellness without focusing on the MS crowd. So I'm working with her on that.
Very good. There's a woman worth looking up, Emily Penton, Penton. She claims to have defeated MS, which the medical community would challenge. She's made some radical dietary changes, but is living free of the diagnosis she was given years ago. She's on a mastermind call that I drop in on occasionally. Later I can find her email for you or something, introduce you. But yeah, she transcended that and got on the right side where the sunlight is of that subject.
That's what my friend is trying to do. So it's interesting. She doesn't take medication. She's gluten-free, vegan, and she's the person that I took to Peru with me. And she said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up with you. I don't know how I'll do in the altitude. I don't know if I can climb Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
And she did it all. And now she's putting these posts up of us in Machu Picchu saying that, it doesn't matter what your limitation is. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good for her and good for you.
Very inspiring.
What a nice thing for you to do too. Yeah, that's cool. That is very good. Well, I got to run. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.